And tonight, lawmakers urging the Biden administration to provide explanations for the disappearance of 85,000 migrant children.
Representative Juan Ciscomani has written a letter to the administration raising concerns about unaccompanied migrant children being handed over to adults and then failing to keep track of them. News 4 Tucson's Gabrielle Paris is live outside the congressman's office tonight with more on what they're asking for. Gabrielle.
Whistleblowers are revealing that the Biden administration is releasing young migrant children into the arms of adult supervisors who have not been properly vetted with a background check. And that's coming from Representative Juan Ciscomani.
Now we have 85,000 missing unaccompanied minors.
All of those young children were processed through the port of entry here in the U.S., but now there are no sign of them anywhere.
These are the minors that are sent up by their parents with a last-ditch hope that they can make it to the land of opportunity and have a better shot at life.
Now lawmakers are calling on the Biden administration to reveal how many minors were allowed into the country and were turned over to adult sponsors who weren't vetted properly. Representative Ciscomani says the House has ways to hold the Biden administration accountable.
We have the power of the purse. I'm in the Appropriations Committee, and we're gonna use any pressure point here with the administration that is necessary to get their attention.
Ciscomani says these young children are being forced into sex slavery and child labor rings. In his letter, he calls out Health and Human Secretary Javier Becerra and Homeland Security Secretary Services Alejandro Bojorquez, accusing them of not doing anything to help find these young missing children.
We want to continue to drive resources to the border. We're going to do that, and they're going to come with accountability factors as well. Secretary Mayorkas and Secretary Becerra need to answer the questions that I asked them on these letters. Where are these kids? What are we doing about it? What are we doing with the ones that are coming in now?
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Jordan Report. I am your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. All right, guys, for those of you who think Governor Abbott is a hero and that he is some sort of genius like people are calling him, take a look at his border. Take a look at what's happening to his cities on the border. 10,000 a night in some places, people. Greg Abbott is not a genius. Greg Abbott has led his state into a serious debt trap that they will not escape. I said from the very beginning, his only out was to close the border. Anything else was a suicide pact. Anything else was a dance with the devil. And now the devil will have his due. The people of Texas, okay? You think you got a year to fix this? You think you got more than a year? That's November, right? The next election is November. If you're waiting on the election to fix this, your state will be long gone before the election comes. Believe me, Texas cannot survive 100 million people walking through its borders. But anyway, people, this is where it ends. I'm going to show you some reports on the child trafficking. Take note, people. We're in a lot of trouble down here in Texas. We're in a lot of trouble.
So, Carlos, before we dive into some more specifics of this, can you just give us, our audience, a background as to what exactly you did working as an immigration contractor and this company? Is it a government company relationship as a U.S. government contractor, or was it separate from the U.S. government?
So the way it works is the U.S. government is washing their hands, keeping their hands clean by going out and handing out massive contracts to organizations that they like to call NGOs, non-government organizations. And these NGOs, they will get contracts for food services, for laundry services, for educational services for the illegal immigrants. Everything under the sun that you can think of, everything that we have to pay for, they will hand out $100 million contracts to give these services for free to the illegal immigrants. And the company that I work for specifically, their job is they hold the largest contract to move children around the United States of America. So my job was to move children from point A to point B. And my job was to pick children up at the border and then move them to their sponsors. I've been to every state that that you could name. I've been there. I've even been to North Dakota, Vermont, Florida, dropping kids off, all of them, and New York City and Florida, the most popular ones. New York State and Florida, and
So let's get back to the children in the facility. We featured here this former Walmart facility in Brownsville, Texas. You work there, correct?
so my job was I did work there, but my job was to take kids out of those facilities and hand them off to sponsors across the country.
So can you
So
walk me through that process? So you're an employee, you get what do you get, an email? Do you get a text message that says, Carlos, on Tuesday, we need you to take these children to their sponsor family in Florida? And how did that process unfold? Can you explain that?
so yes, we would get text messages, we would get phone calls at 7 p.m. at night, 6 p.m. at night, saying, "Hey, we have a trip out tomorrow. Can you make the trip?" I say yes. And later on in the night, I get a report time for the following morning. You get a 5 a.m. report time, 4 a.m. It's always in the dark because they don't want us picking up these kids in the day where people can see us. And I would get for example, hey, 4 a.m. And I would not find out where I was going until the following day when I would show up to the charter bus. We would get phones given to us, backpacks given to us, and until we got to the shelter, to the Walmart shelters that you broke on your show, we get files saying, "Hey, you're gonna head off to Orlando, Florida. You're gonna head off to Los Angeles. You're gonna head off to Nashville, Tennessee, and you're dropping off 6 kids." And in those files, you get a hard copy of an ID of the sponsor who's waiting for you at the airport in baggage claim. So the handoff is always in baggage claim at these airports. So the hard copy of the ID is the person you want to wait for, and they're supposed to hand you this physical ID to you in person, and you're not supposed to release the kid until you take a picture of the physical ID with the paper copy ID together on a government phone.
And these children, these are illegal immigrant children that are being kept there. Are the parents anywhere around at all?
No parents. No, these are unaccompanied minors. So all the kids you see in the Walmart shelters, they're no parents are here. No aunts and uncles are with them. They showed up to the border by themselves. So, and it's
With
crazy
coyotes,
because
with coyotes bringing them across. They're right.
yeah, correct. Because sometimes I would run into kids who tell me, a coyote told me exactly how to get to your shelter, is what they would tell me. They told me how many steps to walk north of here, where to turn. And they told me to, if I run into any border patrol agent, to say that I'm a minor, that I'm underage, that I'm going to run into a building, a shelter, a Walmart type of shelter that's going to have food for me, that's going to have laundry services for me. And it would get so suspicious because the kids were being told by the coyotes exactly the way an NGO runs a Walmart shelter. And it gets you thinking, how the hell do coyotes know the system on this side, Because they're supposedly only on the Mexico side and they're not from the U.S., these coyotes, and they're not government employees. So how do they know what to expect in the shelter?
And it's all happening right in front of our eyes, and the United States government is funding it. So these facilities, they're making their money from the United States government. And so if you drive up to this, like one of these Walmart facilities, you'll be met with guards at the gate, right? I mean, guards that are telling you, you're not allowed to come in here. Then how many kids are we talking about are at these facilities like this, these former Walmart facilities? Are we talking hundreds, thousands?
Well, the Walmart that was shared on your show, I think you guys shared it,
Yeah.
or you guys talked about it. That's about 1,500 to 2,000 kids, but that's not the only Walmart down here where I live. We have about 4 or 5 of them.
And these are former Walmarts, right? So these are giant facilities, former Walmarts that are housing these children. Are they like sleeping in cots and beds? And they're just there waiting to be, is it right for me to say, sold off to these people around the country? I mean, that's the best way to describe it, right?
It's the best way to describe it. You're right to say that, because just the way the company admitted in an email to, hey, transportation specialist, you're taking the wrong documents and you're giving kids off to the wrong people. It's an open world of possibilities.
All right, let me close this report out by saying people this. Those Walmarts were already there. At least this particular Walmart was there. I had found this one back in 2018. But the whistleblower in the report said that there were 4 or 5 of them down there now, and that would be about right, okay, because this thing is just expanding over time. But people, it's more than just a child trafficking. It's more than just a drug trafficking. Texas has been led into a death trap. Once you open your border the way Texas has done, it's a death trap, people. Governor Abbott's only out was to close the border. That would have been the only thing that could have saved us. He didn't have the courage to do that. So he tried to cooperate with these globalists to allow people through his country or through his state. But people, listen, it's a poison pill, because this is never going to end. 100 million people coming through the state of Texas will destroy it. And that's the goal. So Greg Abbott may have thought he was doing something smart or cute or whatever it is. But what he's done is he's destroyed his state. Okay? So my bags are packed. I'm starting to head out of here. I see the writing on the wall. And I see the American people are not going to do anything. So it's time to start moving.
Cochise County deputies are working to identify a child after he was found in a car with several adults, none of whom were relatives or friends. A week ago, a deputy pulled over a car on Highway 80 near Tombstone. The deputy noticed a child crouch on the passenger side floorboard and several adults lying on top of each other in the back seat. The 12-year-old was asked where his parents were, and he said he didn't know. The driver was identified as Kyle Ferreira. Everyone was turned over to U.S. Border Patrol, and officials are now trying to identify the 12-year-old.